Hi everyone, it's Aaron here from Push Square, excited and battle ready to bring you our verdict on the latest and greatest Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC. Yes, that's right, you can spend even more hours in the world of Norse myth thanks to this non-stop train of content. Before we begin though, just to let you know that this review was originally written for the Push Square website by the lovely Robert Ramsey before being adapted into this here video version by me. Anyway, enough waffling, let's dive right on in. Assassin's Creed Valhalla: Dawn of Ragnarok is the biggest expansion in series history. Ubisoft's been feeding us that marketing bullet point for months, and now having played it for ourselves, it's safe to say that the French publisher wasn't in any way lying. It took us roughly 33 hours to complete everything that Dawn of Ragnarok has to offer, which includes a lengthy story campaign, a number of optional activities, side quests, and your usual open world map markers, which lead to equipment and loot. It's a chunky DLC then, to say the least. A quick overview to get this review started. Dawn of Ragnarok takes place almost entirely within the mythological dream world that forms the backbone of Valhalla's lore. You play as Odin, or Havi as they're commonly referred to, as you embark on a desperate quest to rescue your son, Baldur, from the clutches of fire giants. It's a tale that's plucked almost directly from the world of Norse myth, with some creative touches here and there to ensure that everything fits the game's storytelling blueprint. The narrative slots into Valhalla's existing mythological leanings really well, adding yet more context to Ivor's continued visions, while also fleshing Odin out as a character in their own right. The warrior god, now obsessed with Ragnarok, the supposed end of all worlds, must forge an uneasy alliance with the dwarves of Svartalfheim, which is where the expansion is set. The dwarves, their land having been conquered by giants, now hide away in mountain shelters. These gold-strewn caverns act as hubs for Odin's adventures, with the campaign spread across 3 regions within Svartalfheim. Much like the main game, each region has its own plot, which eventually feeds back into the overarching story. It's all reasonably well told, although you don't get to have much of a say in how things play out yourself. Unlike Eivor, Odin is very much an established actor in this saga, and you have little choice but to watch the High One use and manipulate the dwarves to suit his or her needs. It's a bit of a twisted tale, all told. There's an underlying madness to Odin that makes his or her actions compelling, sure, and it's undeniably interesting to be playing as a character who many would consider to be a villain. The story's quite entertaining overall then, but the gameplay's only going to hook you if you're not already burnt out on Valhalla's brand of exploration, action, and stealth. While Dawn of Ragnarok does provide a lovely looking open world to explore, actually engaging with it means having to go through the motions for another 30-ish hours. We didn't want or expect this expansion to tear up the rulebook, but some degree of gameplay innovation would have gone a long way into making things more interesting, and giving players a bit more of a reason to return. What we're getting at is that under its fantastical skin, Dawn of Ragnarok feels very safe. Aside from the addition of temporary powers that aid in traversal, puzzle solving and combat, the DLC barely even tries to branch out from what the base game already has you doing across its huge campaign. For example, most of the new fire giant foes, known in-game as the Musfals, are simply reskins of existing enemies, except that they can now light their swords, spears or clubs on fire. The only new weapon type, the Atgeir, is an effective kind of polearm that's fun to wield, but it repurposes animations from other weapon types, and so Odin's signature blade doesn't feel anywhere near as unique as it should. We're not saying that the expansion is in any way phoned in or lazy, but it just doesn't have the edge that you typically expect from such a big DLC. Within the 2 previous and smaller expansions, Wrath of the Druids and the Siege of Paris, it felt like Valhalla's formula was being refined, or at least moulded into a slightly different shape. Meanwhile, Dawn of Ragnarok feels like another hefty dollop of baseline Valhalla. Again, not necessarily a bad thing if you're an invested fan of the core experience already, but there was definitely scope for something more here. But hey, the loot's pretty good. Mainly, it's the new armor sets that look absolutely great, and the DLC's got some surprisingly nuanced boss battles that are worth looking forward to. If you can stomach another 30 hours of Valhalla, then you really can't go wrong, even if the price tag seems a little steep at first glance. Dawn of Ragnarok does just about enough to satisfy by the time that the credits roll, but if you're burnt out on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there isn't much here that will reignite your interest. The mythological angle is well played, the fantastical setting is cool, and Odin makes for an intriguing lead, but after a year of DLC and updates, Valhalla's gameplay loop is starting to wear just a little bit thin. So there you have it guys, in terms of our short and snappy official thoughts on Assassin's Creed Valhalla Dawn of Ragnarok. Are you in any way tempted to step into the shoes of Odin himself? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And then, once you've done that, if you enjoyed this video, as always, be sure to leave it a like and consider subscribing to the Push Square YouTube channel to stay up to date with everything else PlayStation related. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.